Jim Meyer here. I'm a retired pastor in the ELCA Lutheran Church. That's a Evangelical Lutheran Church in America. Continuing on with our In Times Long Ago collection, I'd like to tell you the story of the wedding dance by James P. Meyer. And this is Rose's story. On February 9th, 1925, Joe and I got married. It was a cloudy day with no snow on the ground. The wedding ceremony, it took place in the Dinrock Catholic Church at 9 o'clock Mass. It seemed there were a lot of people at the wedding. Of course, they may have just come to go to Mass too. My sister and a cousin were the attendants. My sister and I wore beautiful blue dresses, and the men wore blue suits. Joe looked so handsome in his blue suit. The ceremony didn't take very long during Mass, and afterwards we went over to my parents' farm for breakfast. There were many guests who stayed for dinner, over 100 people. All the food was prepared at home, where my cousins had come 2 weeks before and baked all the food. They kept it cool in the basement until the wedding day. After the noon dinner, Joe and I drove to Mitchell, South Dakota in our Model T Ford that Joe had just bought for $450. We had our picture taken at the Brown Studio. The entire trip took the whole afternoon. We got back to the farm in the late afternoon and warmed up with hot apple cider before dinner. About 8 o'clock that night, a group of us went to Ethan, South Dakota, to the wedding dance. My cousins played violin and banjo music. There were so many people that there was barely even standing room. People came from far and wide and brought many gifts for us. It was so wonderful. I remember Joe and I danced until midnight. When we got home, people were dancing in the living room to a self-player piano, and everyone danced until 5 o'clock in the morning. They finally left after daybreak. Needless to say, we didn't go on a honeymoon. Instead, we went to our farm where we farmed from then on. That was 56 years ago. The end. I wonder where you are in this story. I wonder what the pace of life was like back in 1925. I wonder if it was a big deal or a tradition for folks to drive to Brown Studio to get wedding pictures taken. I wonder if the trip to Mitchell was to take up time before the wedding dance. I wonder what the Model T Ford would cost today. I wonder at the reputation Rose and Joe had that brought so many folks from far and wide, family, friends, neighbors. I wonder what Rose thought of all the dancing from 8 in the evening until 5 in the morning. I wonder if Rose and Joe were in anticipation of the wedding night, or just resigned to partying with the community and the family that night. I wonder if Rose missed a honeymoon. I wonder if they made a life for themselves, and as they did, what pearls they found to sustain their love for all their lifetime. I wonder if you found the pearl in your field. Family room reflection. The kingdom of heaven is like a treasure hidden in a field, which someone found and hid. Then in his joy he goes and sells all that he has and buys that field. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant in search of fine pearls, and on finding one pearl of great value, he went and sold all that he had and bought it. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a net that was thrown into the sea and caught fish of every kind. When it was full, they drew it ashore, sat down and put the good in baskets, but threw out the bad. So it will be at the end of the age. The angels will come out and separate the evil from the righteous, and throw them into the furnace of fire, where there will be gnashing and weeping and gnashing of teeth. Matthew chapter 13, verses 44 through 50. Recollections. Love is given of God. There is a divine love in marriage, though often hidden, and is wonderful when found. It is a piece of the kingdom of heaven, when one enjoys the give and the take, the forgiveness and the absolution in the relationship of marriage and friendships. In the parable of the hidden treasure in the field, Matthew Henry Concise, he says, "Many slight the gospel, because they look upon only the surface in the field. But all who search the scriptures, so as in them to find Christ and eternal life." And that's from John chapter 5, verse 39. Will discovery of such treasure in this field as makes it unspeakably valuable, they make it their own upon any terms. Though nothing can be given as a price for this salvation, yet much must be given up for the sake of it. Perhaps this is the give and take, the forgiveness and absolution of love and relationships that Joe and Rose had for so long. Joe and Rose made their farm flourish for many years, using old experiences and new observations, of which all have their uses. Our place is at Christ's feet, and we must daily learn old lessons over again while experiencing new observations. Where is your thinking on love of God and love of each other to its deepest?